Imagine a paradise island, a vibrant city nicknamed the Paris of the Caribbean, and a majestic mountain looming silently in the background. Now, imagine it all vanishing in a matter of minutes. This isn't the plot of a disaster movie, it's the true story of St. Pierre, Martinique, and the day Mount Pelée awoke. On May 8, 1902, one of the deadliest volcanic eruptions in recorded history unfolded, not just as a natural disaster, but as a haunting lesson in human error, political ambition, and scientific misunderstanding. It's a story of a city that was warned, a population that was told to stay, and a catastrophe that changed our understanding of volcanoes forever. Martinique, a jewel in the Lesser Antilles island chain, is a product of volcanic creation. Its northern landscape is dominated by Mount Pelée, a colossal peak reaching over 4,500 feet into the sky. Before 1902, the locals viewed Pelee with a certain fondness, not fear. Sure, it had rumbled before, with minor eruptions in 1792 and 1851 that caused little more than a dusty nuisance. This history bred a dangerous sense of security. At the volcano's base, nestled by the sea, was St. Pierre. It was the island's bustling heart, a center of culture and commerce, with a population of nearly 30,000 people. Its streets were filled with life, its port with ships from around the world. The city thrived, completely unaware it was living on borrowed time at the foot of a sleeping giant. In April 1902, the giant began to stir. The change was undeniable. Foul, sulfurous gases started seeping from new vents on the volcano's slopes. A fine gray ash began to fall like a grim snowfall on the surrounding villages and the streets of St. Pierre itself. Deep, rumbling detonations echoed from the summit, like distant cannon fire. The rivers, once clear, became choked with volcanic mud and debris. Up on the mountain, a crater lake swelled, its waters growing hot and unstable. The island's animals sensed the danger first. Birds fell from the sky and livestock grew sick, while other creatures fled the highlands in a panic. The people of St. Pierre couldn't ignore it either. The air was thick with choking fumes, and a constant layer of ash covered everything. You'd think this would trigger a mass exodus, right? But incredibly, the opposite happened. A local scientific commission, assembled to assess the threat, repeatedly assured the public that St. Pierre was in no immediate danger. They tragically misinterpreted the signs, believing the main crater's vents were clear and that any eruption would follow the path of previous harmless events. Local newspapers joined in, downplaying the risk and even mocking those who expressed fear or attempted to leave the city. Adding a toxic layer to this false sense of security was politics. A crucial legislative election was just around the corner, and St. Pierre was a major political stronghold. Officials, keen to ensure a high voter turnout, actively discouraged evacuation. They blocked roads leading out of the city and used the press to calm the population. The message was clear: stay put, everything is fine. For the nearly 30,000 souls in St. Pierre, this advice would prove fatal. The end came with shocking speed. At 7:52 on the morning of May 8, 1902, Mount Pelée erupted with unimaginable violence. But this wasn't the slow-moving river of lava most people pictured. Instead, the side of the volcano burst open, unleashing something far deadlier: a pyroclastic surge. This is a superheated, fast-moving hurricane of gas, ash, and rock, traveling at over 90 miles per hour with temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees. The cloud, denser than air, didn't go up. It hugged the ground, racing down the mountainside directly towards the unsuspecting city. It hit St. Pierre in less than a minute. The devastation was absolute and instantaneous. Stone buildings didn't just crumble, they exploded from the pressure. The entire city was flash-ignited. Ships anchored in the harbor were engulfed in flames and sank within moments. All communication lines were severed instantly. In the time it takes to make a cup of coffee, the vibrant Paris of the Caribbean was reduced to a smoldering, silent ruin. When the first rescue ships managed to approach the coast days later, they were met with a scene of utter annihilation. The city of St. Pierre was gone, buried under a thick blanket of hot ash and debris. The air was still thick with toxic gas, and the ground was too hot to walk on. The death toll was staggering. An estimated 28,000 to 30,000 people perished in those few minutes. It was a city of the dead. Miraculously, a handful of people survived. The most famous was a man named Louis Auguste Cyprus. He was a prisoner, locked away in a poorly ventilated, thick-walled solitary confinement cell. His dungeon-like prison was what saved him, shielding him from the worst of the heat and blast. Another survivor, a shoemaker named Leon Comperleandre, lived on the very edge of the city and somehow managed to escape the main path of destruction. But these were the rare exceptions. The disaster wasn't even over. Further eruptions on May 20th and August 30th claimed the lives of rescue workers and residents of nearby areas who had survived the initial blast. The volcano would continue to rumble and spew ash intermittently for another 3 years. The destruction of St. Pierre sent shockwaves around the globe. It was a wake-up call for the scientific community. The catastrophe forced geologists to reconsider everything they thought they knew about volcanic hazards. It was this event that gave us the term pyroclastic flow, forever changing the field of volcanology and our ability to assess volcanic threats. The tragedy also captivated the public's imagination, even entering the new and exciting world of cinema. The famous French filmmaker, Georges Méliès, a pioneer of special effects, was so moved by the news that he created a short film in 1902 titled The Eruption of Mount Pelée. Using miniatures and pyrotechnics, he staged a dramatic recreation of the disaster. For decades, this film was thought to be lost, but in a remarkable twist, it was rediscovered and restored in 2007. Giving us a fascinating glimpse into how the world processed this catastrophe over a century ago. Today, if you visit the northern coast of Martinique, you will find the town of St. Pierre once more. It's a quiet, peaceful place now, home to only a few thousand people, but the past is never far away. The ruins of the old city, the skeletal remains of the theater, the church, and the jail are preserved as a memorial. They stand as a silent, powerful testament to that terrible day in 1902. The story of Mount Pelée and St. Pierre is more than just a history lesson. It's a stark reminder of the immense power of nature, but also of the tragic consequences that can arise when scientific warnings are ignored, when political agendas outweigh public safety, and when we become complacent in the face of clear and present danger. It shows us how a predictable natural event can be turned into an unthinkable human tragedy. If you found this story as compelling as I did, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into historical events of our world. Let me know in the comments what other historical mysteries or disasters you'd like to see covered next. Thanks for watching.